What you're witnessing right now is the eastern barred bandicoot in its natural habitat. It appears to be attacking every wooding crate in sight because wooding crates are its natural prey. This bandicoot appears to be running from one of its natural predators, a boulder. This bandicoot appears to have found a mate. That is its victory screech.
Hi everybody, I'm the Unconventional Expositor, and it's my job to dig up fossils and talk about them. Oh, I've hit something good. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be... Well, I can live with this. Hi everybody, I'm the Unconventional Expositor, and it's my job to sit in a chair and talk about stuff. And today, we're going back in time to the early days of PlayStation 1.
In the mid-90s, Sony was looking for a mascot character to be associated with their console. During an era where characters like Mario, Sonic, and Pikachu dominated the gaming landscape, Sony needed a mascot of their own. Therefore, video game studio Naughty Dog stepped in to do the job. They decided to work on a 3D platformer, which Naughty Dog founders Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin would refer to as Sonic's Ass Game. And after a little more conception, Crash Bandicoot was born.
Now, before I review this game, I need to tell you about some unforeseen difficulties.
First, I ordered the game off of eBay and waited a couple of days for it to arrive. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. And when the game arrived and I popped it into the PS3, it worked perfectly fine, but because the PS3 doesn't have a built-in recording device, I had to use a capture card to record it instead.
I gathered up what I needed, but it turned out that I was still missing some key components, so I ordered those, waited a couple days for them to arrive, and then I encountered a demon.
Its name was HDCP. After some more shenanigans, I banished it with a new HDMI splitter.
I just realized that I haven't changed my computer home screen since last video. Good thing I brought my home screen changer 2024 along. There, all better. Now let's take a gander at what the Unconventional Excavator excavated.
The best action/platform game I've ever seen or played. I didn't know Bruce Willis was a gamer. Enter the vivid 3D world of Crash Bandicoot, a marsupial on a mission. I knew he was a wombat. His brain's been scrambled, his girlfriend is held captive, and his arch nemesis has a big N on his forehead. And you thought you had it tough. Well, my arch nemesis is named Hot Dog Corn Puffs. I bet that tells you how I have it. Technically, this isn't the first time I played Crash Bandicoot 1. I remember playing the version on the Insane Trilogy when I got my PS4 for Christmas, but I couldn't get past this freaking jump because I was stupid. Well, I'm still stupid, just a little less stupid than I was back then. Afterward, I played some of Crash 2 and 3, and then I forgot about the series for a while. That is, until I started watching Catacris, who, in case you don't know, is someone who makes wacky videos about games, in a style not unlike that of Angry Video Game Nerd, JonTron, Scott the Woz, or me. This guy loves Crash Bandicoot so much that once a year, he uploads a video for Bandicoot Month, which eventually tipped me into playing the Insane Trilogy again last summer. I played through the first game and about half of the second game before I couldn't make it past this part, before eventually dropping it again. Since Caddy is such a big inspiration for my videos, I just had to give him a shout out here. What I've always found interesting about Crash Bandicoot was that even though it wasn't considered a groundbreaking masterpiece like Super Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time, it was still a huge success for Sony and has cultural relevance decades after its release, having spawned a whole franchise and whatever this is.
And I plan to find out why. Today, I'm giving Crash Bandicoot 1 a spin. Get it? Because that's what Crash does.
The game follows the story of our titular hero, Crash, an Eastern barred bandicoot who is taken from his home by mad scientist Dr. Neo Cortex, who plans to have the orange marsupial as the leader of his army of mutant animals so Cortex can take over the world. He readies his Cortex Vortex, despite being warned by his assistant, Dr. Nitrous Brio, only for the experiment to backfire and for Crash to escape. Let's be real, was anybody surprised? Now Crash is set on an adventure to defeat Cortex and rescue a fellow bandicoot named Tawna. Before covering the levels, I'd like to get my overall thoughts out of the way. The game's Looney Tunes-esque visual style sticks out compared to other games at the time. The way Crash moves makes him look like a cartoon character come to life. And those vibrant colors are nothing but pure eye candy. Like, look at this! The audio design has held up surprisingly well. I especially love that sound when you get an extra life, which is why I'm starting a petition to get the Crash Bandicoot extra life sound effect added to real life. The game's soundtrack complements each level well, whether it be upbeat, chill, energetic, chaotic, sci-fi, or the definition of my suffering, Want to know some useless trivia? If you let Crash stand still for a while, he'll throw a wumpa fruit at the sun, only to learn that he had the wrong trajectory and have him fail an epic trick shot. For some unexplained reason, he always makes this face while running, and while idle, he keeps looking from his left to his right. Who's he running from? The FBI? The IRS?
In this video, I won't be covering every level in detail, just the ones that stick out to me.
As we start the game, we see that Crash has washed up on Insanity Beach. Want to know why it's called that? Because the crabs are the size of a cow! This level introduces us to the basics of Crash gameplay. You use a D-pad to move, X to jump, square or circle to spin, and triangle to see your inventory. The joysticks do not exist. Even for the time, the controls are rather simple, but they work pretty well. Just don't spin while you're running or you'll never forgive yourself. In your inventory, you can see your current number of wumpa fruit and lives. You can get these off-brand mangoes by either picking them up off the ground, even though they're probably rotten, or by breaking wooden boxes. Find 100 wumpa fruit, and you get an extra life. Some of the boxes contain Aku Aku masks, which protect you from most forms of damage. If you can find 3 of them, you become invincible for a short time, and you can destroy every enemy in your path.
I am invincible! Invincible!
But pitfalls can still kill you. Sometimes, you see these green boxes that when hit, cause hidden boxes to appear. You better remember to break as many boxes as you can or Crash is gonna suffer permanent injuries. The next level, Jungle Rollers, steps up the difficulty a little bit, which is a trend you'll notice from now on. Here, we get introduced to the hardest boss in the whole game, the save system. In order to save your progress, you have to complete a bonus round, which you trigger by collecting 3 character tokens of either Tana, Rio, or Cortex. Completing a bonus round feels like finding an oasis in the desert. It's been tough, but the reward has made all your suffering worth it. So technically, Crash Bandicoot is the first Souls-like game. If you manage to break all the crates in a level without dying, you're awarded a gem. On some levels, like Jungle Rollers, there are paths that won't be open until you get a gem on a later level, so Crash is gonna receive splinters. Once you reach the Great Gate, you'll notice something's different with this level. That instead of the linear 3D platforming you've gotten used to, this level is more 2.5D. This is what us gamers call one of those get good levels. This is nothing compared to what's coming, but it helps us master the game's mechanics. What this level tells you is that in Crash Bandicoot, timing is everything. Because if you time something wrong, you're toast. Once again, the succeeding level switches things up. Throughout the Crash series, there are these levels where you're running toward the camera trying to escape something chasing you. As seen earlier in this episode, when the unconventional narrator was narrating the intro, Crash is being chased by a boulder, the rainforest's top predator, according to Fake Science Monthly. Judging by my experience, the best way to avoid the boulders is to follow the wumpa fruit and jump as often as possible. I wonder why this level is called Boulders. Upstream is the first level to have a bit of a top-down perspective with the camera. As you can probably tell, while this game lacks in innovation, it makes up for it in its level variety to keep things fresh. There's not a lot to see here, but we learn that the Aku Aku mask can't protect us from aquatic carnivorous plants, and that Crash is allergic to water. Now we've made it to the first boss fight, Papu Papu. The fight is super simple. Wait until Queso slams his staff on the floor and do a slam dunk on him. Rinse and repeat 2 more times and congratulations, you're a winner! Or you could cheese the fight by standing on his throne. All jokes aside, I'm sure you can tell that this fight isn't very good, but it's just the first, so I'm not gonna write a 14-hour video essay on why Nikocado Avocado's a terrible boss.
You know how Crash really likes to break boxes? I got a box right here. It contains air. If I put some wumpa fruit inside, Crash himself might arrive sometime later.
The level after the fight with Big Chungus is called Rolling Stones. It's nothing special, just a more difficult version of Jungle Rollers with a cooler name. The only thing it introduces is the Embryo bonus round. The next level is something special. In Hog Wild, Crash jumps onto the back of a random warthog, not before making an interesting face. I wonder what's going on in that brain of his. Hog Wild is easily the most unique of all the non-boss levels in Crash 1. It feels more like a Subway Surfers PS1 port than a Crash level. But in a good way. You better jump before you hit the drums, or you'll find out that we live in a simulation. Native Fortress is the Great Gate, but the difficulty actually exists. Wait a minute, why is Crash running through these fortresses in the first place? What did the natives do to make him mad? Why is he attacking every animal in sight? It's just a video game. Don't think about it too deeply. Up the creek. There's not much to see here or anything, it's just upstream, but longer. The second boss we fight is Ripperoo. Unlike Papu Papu, this fight, while simple, requires some strategy. Ripperoo will jump in different patterns depending on which phase he's on, and you gotta set off one of the big TNTs at the right time to take a chunk out of his health bar. There's actually some risk and reward here, so it's not a bad boss fight. In its design, the Lost City is like the Great Gate in Native Fortress, but bigger and better. Remember how important timing was in those two levels? The Lost City makes sure you remember that. Now, you got moving and disappearing platforms, pistons, flocks of bats, lizards, and these things to ruin your day. This level also has the first colored gem, which we'll need to get the gem for jungle rollers and the upcoming castle machinery. Temple Ruins blends the top-down-like style from the river levels with the linear style as you'd see in a level like Rolling Stones. In all honesty, I don't have a lot to say for this level. I guess the rotating pillars look kinda cool. Now we're on the road to nowhere. I remember this and its more difficult counterpart, the High Road, being the absolute bane of my existence when I played the Insane trilogy. Now, I'm not sure if it has anything to do with me playing the original version. Well, it's still hard, don't get me wrong. It's not as... I take it back. Danger! That's the understatement of the century. Alright, finish the bonus round. So when I was on the road to nowhere, the game randomly froze at the end of the bonus round and didn't save my progress. This has to be the single most cruel prank a video game has ever done to me in my life. So I had to run and jump across the loose wooden planks, do a jump over the warthog that hasn't forgiven me from Hogwild, not slide off the icy planks, and reach the bonus round again, and thankfully it actually worked this time. At the end of the level, you gotta stun this turtle so you can bounce off of it. What's the logic behind this? Are turtles in the Crash universe 94% air? Boulder Dash, synonym for Boulder's Extended Edition. Sunset Vista is in the same vein of levels as the Lost City, but it has a couple of key elements that help it stand out on its own. It's the first of two levels to have a Cortex bonus round. If you complete it, you unlock a secret level called Whole Hog. I didn't play either of the bonus levels for this video, and judging from this level's name, there probably wouldn't be a lot to say about it anyways. Also, I like how you can see Cortex Castle in the background. Just a neat little attention to detail. This brings us to the third boss, Koala Kong. Oh, watch out, Naughty Dog! Nintendo's gonna pulverize your ass! He starts off by throwing rocks at you, and all you gotta do is deflect or dodge the rocks he throws at you, and wait for him to throw a bigger rock and knock it back. A TNT crate drops down on one side of the arena, but won't be much trouble, because you can just stand in place. There are these minecarts in your way, so you gotta time your attacks right. The second phase adds another TNT crate, but that's about it. This fight isn't remarkable, but at least it does something different.
They say that this is a hard game. I mean, once you know what to do, it goes from like a From Software game to a VTech game. Did any of you play those? Well, this is quite a surprise. Crash Bandicoot just broke into my room. I thought this would happen in my inevitable Crash 2 video. You want that? Oh, okay, if you say so.
The next level is the first one on the last island, so we're getting close to the end of the game. Heavy Machinery is another side-scrolling level. Am I the only one who thinks these robots look questionable?
Crash, what are you doing? I'm sure you've learned by now. I mean, of course you're right. It's your game after all.
At the start of Cortex Power, a little cutscene plays showing that Crash is ready to crash this party. Cortex Power sticks out among the rest of Crash 1's levels, as it's the only one besides Insanity Beach to have branching paths. Revolutionary. Generator Room is a special level, because whenever you boot it up, you're greeted by this lovely face. Safety first? I think this place is in need of investigation. In Toxic Waste, you have these fat guys throwing barrels of toxic waste at you, hence the name. They're pretty easy to manage until these bouncing barrels get introduced. Thankfully, this is balanced out with these safe zones where you can catch your breath. Now we fight Pinstripe Potteroo, and can I just say, why is he shooting at me from that angle? Is he stupid? Truth be told, I don't really like this boss fight, which is a shame, because he has a decent personality, but I can at least say that I've tried to have a fight with a unique gimmick. All I do is hide behind furniture that can withstand bullets and wait for an opening to attack him. I get that Crash Bandicoot is a game about timing, but this is just boring and tedious and it feels very out of place in this game. What is this, a precursor to Uncharted? I wonder what the next level is.
Oh my god!
Yep, that's another one of these levels. The High Road is basically Road to Nowhere, but twice the pain, twice the suffering, and twice the turtles. That sounds like an advertisement slogan. The problem with this is, if you incorrectly time your stun or accidentally spin the turtle off the bridge, you're screwed. Unless you want to cheese the level, that is. And the hogs are still humanity's second worst mistake ever. And on top of all of that, it's not even the hardest level in the game. Out of all the side-scrolling levels, Slippery Climb is easily the hardest. You gotta time your jumps just right, or Dr. Neocortex is gonna break into your house and rip your life straight out of your PS1. I remember playing the bonus round of this level on the Insane Trilogy one day, and the 45 or so minutes I spent on that bonus round alone are 45 or so minutes of my life that I'll never get back. After going through all the levels, this one might have to be my favorite. Sure, it's super unforgiving, but it never feels unfair, and I would have preferred this as a penultimate level over the actual final level. And for all your struggles, you get a couple of lives at the end. Guess this game loves me after all. Lights Out is a level with an interesting gimmick. You gotta use these Aku masks as a light source in these dark corridors. I actually like this gimmick, because it makes the level feel like a race against the clock. Is this supposed to be part of the Cortex Castle? If so, why are these rats the size of 2 footballs? You said this place was safe! Jaws of Darkness is pretty much just another temple ruins. Those are my thoughts on Jaws of Darkness. Castle Machinery starts off with the exit right in front of you. And then it's not right in front of you. Castle Machinery gets the award for the most vertical level in video game history to be released to the world on September 9th, 1996. Remember Embryo? Well, it doesn't really matter if you do or not, because now you gotta fight him. He throws vials containing slime creatures at you, and for some reason, when you kill them, they damage him. In the Insane trilogy, they spray green fluid into his eyeballs, but in the Japanese version, they're evil souls. The Crash Bandicoot lore is getting real deep here. After you pop the blobs, he'll throw red exploding vials at you. Once he's on low health, he drinks a red vial and becomes the Hulk. Now you gotta get onto a brick and jump on him when he gets close. This fight starts off pretty good, as you gotta use strategy to bait the blobs to a point that they're vulnerable, but once he turns into broccoli, the fight just becomes whatever this is. Though I do like how in the Insane trilogy, he tries to fly like a bird when he falls out the window, so maybe this second phase was a necessary evil. Once Brio is defeated, we move on to the final level, the lab. And honestly, it's kinda hard for me to decide whether I like it or not. On one hand, you got these tricky but fair timed jumps that involve hitting these gray crates to open doors and activate platforms. You also get to send Cortex employees straight into the abyss, never to return. My issues with this level come from some questionable design decisions. Like, how was I supposed to know that there was a TNT within those crates? The yellow slimes are especially annoying, because they keep respawning, and you need to jump onto them at the most inconvenient of times to get rid of them. And don't get me started on that final stretch. Here, you got these zippy zappy things, a disappearing platform, and yellow slimes coming at you. Next, you got this door that you gotta open, more zippy zappies, and a disappearing platform. And at the end of it all, you got these floating TNT crates that you bounce off when you jump on them. I have a story to tell you about this level. When I was playing the Insane trilogy last summer, I was on the final stretch on my last life. I made it past the fittingly colored yellow slime and the electric trap. I braved my way through the disappearing platform. The exit was right there, and I jumped onto the TNT crates, but I got bounced off and failed the level. Thankfully here though, I didn't fall for this. And you want to know the worst part of all of this? Later, I found out I could just jump to the side to catch a break when I had to. Once we escape that torture chamber, we literally meet our maker, Dr. Neo Cortex. Apparently, Crash did enough damage to Cortex Castle to cause a fire hazard, and we got an actually good final boss. At first, Cortex shoots at us with these purple lasers, but every few shots, he fires a green laser that we can deflect back at him. Then he shoots these blue lasers that go left and right, and then up and down. In his last phase, he rapid fires purple lasers at you. Once he's on his last hit point, he shoots one green laser at you for you to knock back. It's almost as if he's admitting that you've beat him. Once you send Cortex falling to his doom, Crash gets a girl and I guess we save the world! Yay! There's also a different ending for those who get every gem, but for now, I'm gonna keep my sanity intact. The game also tells you what happened to the bosses you totally didn't die to 238 times. To conclude the review, I'd say Crash 1 is a good game. It's no masterpiece, but it succeeds at what it's trying to be. Naughty Dog had proven that they were a competent dev team and gained Sony's respect. Naughty Dog's still making games with Sony today, and we can all thank this Bandicoot for it. If you ask me, Crash became such a huge success because at the time it was the only PS1 platformer that stuck out from the crowd, and instead of using a well-known animal like a hedgehog or a gorilla as a mascot, Naughty Dog chose a more obscure species for their title character. Even though Crash didn't bring much new to the table in terms of gameplay mechanics, its cartoony visuals gave it a distinct atmosphere that helped it stand out from its competition.
Now the game has a whole franchise based off of it. There are the 2 direct sequels, the Traveler's Tales games, the Radical Entertainment spin-offs, the Toys R Us reboot, the Racing and Party games, because every game series needs those. Wait! Oh well, who needs crates anyway, when you got cardboard boxes? They're a lot more convenient, don't come with a splitter hazard, and they're Bandicoot free! So buy your boxes today at superduperepicCardboardBoxes.com. Yes, this whole video is a cardboard box advertisement.
Hello everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. It ended up being way more ambitious than I initially expected, so it took a while. I've already got plans for another video, so stick around, I'll see you soon.